Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another breakdown. Today, I'm excited. This is a personal favorite, this commercial. Actually, when we broke down the IKEA commercial from Rune, I was actually looking for this commercial because I remembered it because it has a very specific framework example inside of it of how you can do this. And I know a lot of people comment or will send emails or in Discord on the Patreon channel will say, well, you can't use this stuff all the time in all interiors. It just doesn't work. It's too formulaic. It just doesn't make any sense to do that, and people don't do that. Well, if I look at the stuff that I like, and that is exactly what is going on every single time. The look that I like is that. That's why I've come up with the framework, right? That's why I've broken it down into the different elements that it is, because that is what I find again and again and again. When I find commercials or films that I'm drawn to, they work in these same patterns. Now, that's not to say you take the pattern and you cookie cut every single time. You have to force it into this little box. We've seen a number of different examples where you don't do that, right? Where the location doesn't allow you to, or you don't have time, or whatever it is. There are times when you're going to have to sacrifice. And it may not be the best looking thing that you could possibly do in that location, but given the limitations, maybe that's the end result that you have to live with. But you can, and you do, find that most of the things that I like end up with some elements from the framework inside those things. And that's what we're gonna look at today. One very specific example, which is interiors, right? And now, this is a great commercial. I encourage you to watch the whole thing through. If we just play through it, it's outside, it's already moody, right? You're looking daytime. Look at how low we are already, right? Really, really low, keeping exposure really, really down. As long as you don't get any direct sun, you can do this sort of thing. Lots of layers as we walk, but it isn't really until we get to these interiors that this is the stuff that I really wanted to talk about. Because right off the bat, two interiors, you see immediately what's going on. It's really, really simple. Although it looks amazing, right? It looks fantastic. The concept here is fairly certain, is fairly easy. Like all we're doing here, and this is the room that we really want to focus on today. There's a wider shot in it though. This is the wide. Okay, so this is the office where if you watch the whole thing through, you're gonna see that the majority of the time that this commercial plays out, there's interactions that are happening inside of this office. So the location is key, but also choosing what side of the camera we're gonna be on, where we're gonna light this thing from. Let's take a look at from the widest point of view. And here it is, just a simple room. We got 3 windows that we have options to bring in daylight from. We're not gonna use some crazy overhead or try and fill it in because this is a period piece and we don't wanna use some crazy electricity when we don't have to. So this is the idea. And given that we know the limitations, right? There's no windows over here. This is just wall and this is wall. So we need to find a way of how we're gonna make it interesting. We've got 4 or 5 shots in here. I think it's a 3-minute long commercial again. We got 4 or 5 different scenes in here. We've got to get different angles and keep it interesting. So how are we going to do that? Well, there's really only one option for doing this. Well, there's 2. You can either, this is the side of the line that we're going to be on, right? First things first, because we want to shoot when Old Man River is sitting over here and the young guys are sitting over here, which we're going to look at across the table. We want to be shooting into the L of the room along the windows, right? So we know that if we're going to have a shot like this, this is by far the trickiest shot in this entire scenario because we're looking at the windows that we want to be lighting from, right? So we're gonna have to find a way to deal with the exposure difference between the outside and the inside that doesn't look drastically different than what we wanna get in the singles. So if we go back to the singles, where are they? Like in this single, right? We want the light coming from the windows. We wanna be shooting into the L of the room. We want a little bit of that haziness, that little glaze across the image that just ever so slightly lifts the blacks, right? Not too much. We still want density, but we just want just that little bit of expansion in the toe. And this is the look that we are in our minds. And you think, okay, what do I want when they're talking back and forth? I want this look. Well, this is easy to do, right? This is not a hard lighting setup at all to do. The hard one to do is the wide, right? Because it's breaking, like there's no easy solution to this. We can't light this way. We can't light this way. We can't light this way because we're gonna see the fixtures, right? If we don't, we could maybe use something thicker for shears, but then we wouldn't see outside, so we're losing the depth. It would just feel very flat if you use too thick of a shear. You often find, especially when there's 3 of them and it's daytime, it's a little bit of a weird look. So we're gonna have it see through a little bit that we can see through, but that means maybe you could park the lamp here and you could park the lamp here and shine this way. I mean, who knows what this location actually looks like down there, or if it's actually a location, who knows? But then you're lighting up the shears with the lamp. So if you put the lamp over here, shine this way, which is what you would do if you were having, if you had the Old Man River over here sitting down and you were just gonna do a single, that's what you would do. You would light from over here through the shear into the 4x frame of diffusion, Old Man River sitting down, and you're looking into the L of the room, and it's really easy to control room tone because you can do it with the key. You can set the room tone with the key, and then all you do is walk in the neg on this side of the camera, and you got yourself a single, right? A beautiful, nice, easy single in a great location. You got lots of wood, lots of density, dark colors. Everything is soaking up light here, right? There's nothing white-walled about this, which is great for historical set things because you don't get that white wall on the rooms that you do in like modern commercials. So it's a lot easier to be able to pump in the level and separate the values, because that's what you want to do. And that's what bigger lights allow you to do. You can pump in way more level, which makes the separation between the levels easier. If you're shooting at a crazy high ISO, like say you're in here shooting at 1600 ISO and you're on master primes or something like that, where you can let in so much light into the sensor that you only need a little tiny bit to tweak the ratios completely. Whereas if you're using big lamps, you can really separate the values because you can pump in so much and have so much contrast. So this is really the challenging one. The couple of different ways you can do it. You can go the phantom thread way, which is you light up these shears to what you want them to be, and then just out of the frame, which is way easier in anamorphic than it is in like Academy. If you do just above here, you have light mats that are pushing more level into the room. You can do that like actually on the wall itself, and usually this is the easiest because you can just set up a truss across the room, and either you can push it into the wall, right, with like wall busters, and then put light mats on there. They're going to be light enough that you can do this. The tricky part will be, is it going to be enough level, right? You can grid it so it doesn't get on these walls here. It is just really just pushing this light, which you can't push through the shears or else the shear is going to heat up. You have to push it from inside. And that's the hardest because now you're balancing, right? It's way easier to light from outside and just let it naturally come in. The hard part is now you've still got 7 minutes to light this thing, right? You don't get any more time. You got 7 minutes once everything is set up and the people are in place and you have to balance everything. So this is really the hardest shot in this entire interior setup, is this particular wide, getting ready for it. And you just have to get in the ballpark of the right exposure. You don't have to completely nail, this guy's highlight the same as it's going to be in his single. It's just got to be believable. So again, for framing purposes, a little bit of door here. We got this coming at us, right? Not shooting flat onto anything. Even this wall is going away at an angle. So you get that little L back there in the room and the furniture. And then we're just lighting just those little edges, and it's all dark all around here. Look at this huge chasm of nothingness, right? There is nothing in there. There's a little bit of the window, and then everything else is way down here. Way down here. Now you could shoot it like that, or you could print it like that. It really depends on how you're going to work. But this is a hard shot. This is a hard shot, and it looks really great because as we go in, you see that little push in. We come in here. Oh, that's the different area. Where's the next shot in that sequence? Let's see. Let's go back to our little office area where we know it's the office. So here it is. This is our first look at the office. Okay, now this is simple, right? Because we don't have to light that. We just light that up from outside to whatever we like. It's not actually, it is given a little bit over here, but it's not really doing anything on our talent or anything. We are lighting from the window that is the middle window of those three. We're lighting a little bit for our man here, and then if we want to wrap it around more, we're just diffusing. We're using a 4x piece of diffusion here. We just wrap it around his face. We just get that little glow on the side, and then we're negging frame left, right? No backlight. This is single source style lighting. Just one big ass source from outside. And then here, we're going to diffuse it more because he's closer to the window. And then here, we're going to diffuse it less because he's further away. And that way they look balanced, right? So just setting up different layers of diffusion across because he's sitting, whatever this is, 5 feet apart. This can actually make a difference in exposure, and you don't want it to fall off crazy. Like you don't want him to be super hot and then him to be super dark because you've got like a little, I don't know, if you're trying to light this thing up with like a little M18 and it just doesn't have enough juice, you want this exposure to be the same. So that means from the window, you got to get it way further away from the window because the further back you get it and the bigger the lamp, the more this is going to be the same exposure, this 5 feet. Whereas if you just have like an 8x8 of diffusion just here, out of shot, this person's going to be lit up so hot because they're so close to the diffusion, and this guy's going to be significantly darker because he's 5 feet further away. Okay, so something to think about. But here, this is, as soon as you figure out the wide, your job is done, right? We go, keep playing through here, hands, like what are we doing here? Exact same thing as the other side, right? Light coming in this way from this window that we already know is diffused because it has shears on it, and we're just shooting into the shadow. And we've got something interesting that you can cut together. Face, again. I mean, how do you say you can make this thing better? Maybe if the room was a little bit deeper, but this is the room. Like for the cinematographer, you've done everything that you possibly can. You've got beautiful looking shears, nice little plant back there, L of the room, light coming this way. And this one maybe it does sort of feel like a carry. Like it feels like there's something else up here that carries this light a little bit further. But still, I mean, that is a good looking image with lots and lots and lots of darkness. Okay, let's go full screen. Whoop, didn't work. What was that one? Did I just miss one when I looked down? I think I did. Oh, here we go. Now, see how you can't see the window that is doing the lighting? Imperative to success. Because if you can see this, you're going to see that to get this level in here, this has got to be really, really hot. Much hotter than this window. So you want the audience to feel like this is the same as this, right? Because you're looking that direction. Of course, it's going to pump that much light. But to make the light not feel like studio lighting or stage lighting, you have to have this in the frame and then light through the one that you can't see. It's because you don't want the shears blocking the level that eventually need to get to his face. And then here, again, beautiful. Look at how much darker this guy is because he's in this window. He's not getting hit with this little, they probably just open up the shears, right? That's another thing you can do. If you've got shears and curtains, you've got 3 different mechanisms for taming the light really quickly. You can go bare, right? Which gives you a lot of level. Shears takes a little bit of the level away. Curtains takes all the level away. And that's like that. And sometimes you need that speed because like I said, you got 7 minutes to do this. You got 7 minutes to do all the balancing. You don't have 7 minutes to put up all the lights. For something like this, say you have an hour to bump in, set everything up, rough it all in, you get the talent in there. Then the set is yours for 7 minutes to balance once you've seen everybody in there. That's when the shears and the curtains combination really pays off because you don't have to ask anybody to do anything. You just walk over there and you go, yes, that's good. I know I need to take this down, half a stop. Well, I'll just pull the shears in front and that'll be the half stop. It makes really, really quick working. And there was one more in here that I wanted. I mean, all of this stuff. No, everything can't be framework inside, can it? Yes. I mean, just this whole commercial is framework. Yes, dark, wood, room tone back here. See how it doesn't feel like it's coming from anywhere, right? You got these nice shadows that make it feel like day, but that's not what's lighting that up back there, right? It's just different. Room tone, directionless. Exteriors, these are all a little bit boring. Again, this is a challenging shot. Right? You just balance to that window, have it as hot as you want, but then you can't even push. In here, you can't even push anything because we're so wide. You're seeing that warp on the Lomos. You can't even get anything in here to push. Now, if you were going to do this conversation, right? Say you wanted to do those 2 guys in the background. They're still away from the window, and say the director says, no, we got to get this profile shot. We have to get this 2 shot from here, right? And just imagine that now, instead of being on whatever this is, say this is the 35 millimeter Lomo, let's just say we're going to do this on the 75. So we're going to get this. So what you would do, we can still see the windows back there, so we can't really light through those because you'll light up the shears too much. But what you can do is wall buster across, if this isn't like, this is probably some heritage listed castle or something that you can't put things on the walls, or you can menace arm out, and you can hang something from above. And all you're trying to do is get it out of the frame, hang it above, and then push level in. That looks like it's low enough, like the light is low enough relative to the frame. So let's say you're going to put your menace arm base over here. You're going to boom it in this way. Then you're going to hang the light this way, okay? And then you're going to shine it here. Oh, damn it. You want this thing just above the frame, like almost touching the frame. Because the higher up you go, the less realistic it looks like it could be coming from the outside, okay? And then haze, lots and lots of haze. And there's another one in here, more framework, again, more. This is in the exact same location. Now you can see what we're doing here. And there's a little bit of return fill, it feels like in that one. Just feels a little bit more open. This is, again, more framework. I mean, single source lighting. Hello. We'll take 1 eye light for the wing, please, Alex. And shoot at a deep stop here. Got somebody's whole face in anamorphic in focus. There's a deep stop. Okay, and then the rest is, I mean, like I said, once you set up this room for that wide, you can shoot anywhere in there. It becomes really, really quick, and it allows you, I think that's it. That's a good looking shot at the end there too. What is that one? With the hat on. Ooh, nice little eye light down here. Can I please have backlight? Come in here and hit the bounce and bounce up into the eyes. And then we'll shape it in the grade, right? Little window here, lift this part up, everything else goes down, eyes immediately drawn. If you have time on your hands, you map in little windows on his eyes and lift those too. But really, really precise. There was something else I wanted to say, I can't remember what it was. Oh no, that's the great part about if we go back to that wide. Well, you know the wide I'm talking about. If we go back to that, as soon as you set up that lighting, it makes you really free to just run in there and get this kind of stuff, right? Like even that kind of stuff. Maybe that's not in the boards. Maybe the boarded shot is a little bit wider, but because you've set it up, the lighting in the location that you want, that you can shoot anywhere on this side of the line, well, now you can be much more expressive and you can be freer to do the work. And you don't have to be as handicapped of like, oh, we can't actually get that shot because I don't have my diffusion frame ready or I don't have my neg ready. It's like, no, you've already done the work in the wide and the location and the tech scout and the scheduling. All you do now is just bump in, and you can say to the director, hey, let me do just one pass where we try something different. Like we've done this guy's line 10,000 times. Let's just get a reaction shot of him. So run the whole scene and I'll just float around. And then on the two ways, you can just have your little earpiece on, your little ear tech headphones, and you can have the director and you on that line with the focus puller. And they could just be like, okay, let's run the whole thing through this 3-minute long scene. And then you just float around trying to pick up those little things. And that ends up being the most beautiful stuff in the end, right? As soon as you allow yourself to free up. But the problem is, if you're not going to light it from outside, then you can't do that. You're boxing yourself into a corner. And the less boxy you can make the constraints that locations are under when you're shooting, the more stuff you're going to be able to get. The more freedom you are going to have to see something on the day, immediately be able to get it, and then move on. And that's what we're trying to do. So anyway, a great commercial by Rune and a cinematographer whose name, again, I don't know, but I will put it in the show notes, or I put it down below. I mean, okay, if you got any of this stuff that you want to see, any commercials that you want broken down, or techniques, or you don't agree, please leave it in the comments down below. I'd be interested to hear. If someone has a commercial that is not frameworky, I want to know about it. So let me know, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.